to politics now. Ted Cruz calling out his own party and the possibility of a last-ditch effort at this summer's Republican convention to deny him or Donald Trump the actual nomination. Cruz warning it will lead to an outright revolt.
I don't believe we're going to have a brokered convention. And I will say this to those in Washington who envision a deadlock of delegates and suddenly some outside candidate dropping in on a parachute to save the Washington establishment. That is a pipe dream. It is never going to happen.
Here now to comment, Ari Fleischer, former White House press secretary under George W. Bush. Cruz calls it a manifest revolt if they would try to do that at the convention. Is he right or wrong?
Well, he's right if that were to happen on the second ballot or even the third ballot. But if there is nobody with 50% of the vote and then you have to get a ballot to get them, you can't bring in an outsider on the first couple. But if there's mayhem and deadlock, it could happen. But everything now is just guesswork, and you just have to let it play out.
Well, because some people are saying, look, you would have to light a match with Trump supporters there. It would be like gasoline on the floor. It would go up in flames if they tried to take away. Because the whole idea of why people like Cruz and Trump is because they are the outsider candidates.
But you know, Gretchen, there's a very simple mechanism that solves all this, and it's called getting a majority, which is a time-tested principle about what works in our country. And if nobody can get a majority going into Cleveland, then you have to have a floor fight. And there would be a floor fight to see who can assemble a majority. It will test Trump. It will test Cruz. It will test their coalition-building abilities. Can they broaden from their 30, 40% pluralities and get a majority?
Okay.
If they can't, and it deadlocks forever, then naturally people are going to say, is there somebody new we should bring in? It's not a bad process. It's going to be a mess. It's going to be bloody. But it results in somebody convincing people to give them 50%.
Okay, I want to get Marco Rubio in here as well because, of course, John Kasich and Rubio still in the race. Here's what Rubio thinks.
Think about it this way. If anyone else other than Donald Trump was the front runner, every candidate in this race would have a tremendous amount of pressure on them to drop out. Instead, the pressure is to stay in. Please, what we hear from people all over the country is, please do not let Donald Trump be our nominee. He's going to get crushed, and he's going to divide the Republican Party and redefine it in a very negative way.
Your comment?
Well, he's right for some people who don't like Donald Trump. On the other hand, Donald Trump's supporters are going to say, how dare you bring anybody else in, as would Ted Cruz's. But that's why the problem is that these guys are getting 30, 40% of the vote. They're not breaking 50%, even in any one state. And until that happens, until you have a presumed front runner with over 50% in a state, you're going to have a divided mess.
Okay, so there's a veteran Republican attorney who has been saying that, well, maybe we could just change the rules at the convention. And there's also a Wall Street editorial today, Wall Street Journal editorial, kind of saying the same thing. I mean, aren't the people speaking this time around, Ari? The people are saying so far they want the rules to be in place. You can't just change them when they're not working out for the establishment.
Well, I think the people are speaking by saying we want somebody other than the establishment. We want an outsider. Who it is, the people are divided. I don't think the people are speaking about rules. Nobody even knows what the rules are.
Yeah, but if they found out that somebody was contemplating changing the rules and that actually happened, well, it'd be more than a Ted Cruz revolt.
Look, I do believe that when you have rules of the game, you don't change them because you don't like the outlook of the game. But still, the rules say you have to get 50%. The problem is no one is close to it yet, and they may go all the way to Cleveland. We'll find out really after Tuesday, after Florida, Ohio vote. Can anybody put together the 50% coalition? Right now, that anybody looks like it's Trump more than likely anybody else.
Right.
But if he can't do it, you do have a floor fight.
Right, because as we said earlier, if he wins Ohio and Florida, it's pretty much done.
Yeah, I think that's right.
If he loses Ohio and Florida, the race is going to be decided at an open convention, likely. And if he wins one but not both, who knows? And
let me make a distinction between a brokered convention and open. A brokered convention is where the powers that be come down and tell the delegates who to vote for. That will never happen. Open is they don't have 50%, and so the candidates have to wage a fight among themselves to convince people on a second or third ballot to switch their camp and vote for them. That's a fair, open process.
Okay. The next couple of days, we'll see how it all pans out. Ari, thank you.